Dear my student, let's go today with the material of chapter 5, which is the database security. In this chapter, we will go a little bit introductory for the database and different type of database, statistical database, relational database. But let's start here with the databases, which is the structured collection of data stored for use by one or more application. Just to give you here for this slide what's meant by database, which is, as we said, this is the structured collection of data stored for use by one or more application. Contained the relationship between data items and the group of data items. Can sometimes contain sensitive data that need to be secured. Here it is. Then when we talk about database security, it means that data need to be secured, which is the database structure need to be secured, that data. Database management system, which is suitable program for constructing and maintaining the database, offer ad hoc query facility to multiple user and application. It means that the database offered the ad hoc query facility to multiple user and application. We will use different query language for that database. We will go a little bit with each other about database management system architecture, which is shown here in this figure here. And then we will go with the relational database. Just to also give you background from your computer science courses. Then we will talk about the relational database, which is table of data consists of row and columns. Each column holds a particular type of data. Each row contains a specific value for each column. Ideally has one column where all values are unique, forming an identifier key for each row. Just here give you the definition or what's meant by relational database. If we go with each other with the material here, then we will see database access control. It means that we have different type of access control for the database. As an example here, we have SQL sequential access control, and then we have role-based access control, and then we have here inference. This is the most important part here for the security for the data. When we talk about the inference, it means that we start to talk about the security here. Let's define here the inference. It's coming here. Let's go with the material. As an inference here, which is as it relates to the database security. When we talk about inference, this is related to the database security. In the process of performing authorized query. Inference here, which is related to the database security, is the process of performing authorized query and deducing authorized information from the legitimate response received. It means that here the inference here is the database security, relates to the database security. Inference channel is the information transfer path by which unauthorized data is obtained. If you go with each other here for the material related to the database security, we have to talk a little bit about the inference countermeasure and inference detection at the database design, inference detection at the query time, and inference detection algorithm is needed for either approach, mean that we have to approach for inference countermeasure, which is inference detection at database design, inference detection at the query time, and then we need the inference detection algorithm is needed for either approach of the database design and the query time, at the database design and at the query time. If we go with each other here, we will see that we have different type of database as statistical database and statistical database security. We will talk a little bit also about the statistical database security. And by the end of this chapter, we will go to the what we call database encryption, which also related to the security. The database is typically the most valuable information resource for any organization, protected by multiple layer of security. You know, multiple layer, what we call vertical orientation security and horizontal orientation security. It means that we have the firewall, authentication, operating system access control system, database access control system, and database encryption. Encryption is often implemented with particularly sensitive data. It means that when we talk about database encryption, then we have a multiple layer of security. On the horizontal layer security as a firewall, authentication technique, or vertical layer security for the data and operating system. Then the disadvantage of the encryption here, everything have advantage and disadvantage, but for the database encryption, we have disadvantage, which is the key management and inflexibility. We will talk in details about all of these with each other. By the end of this chapter, we will go with the new technology right now on the market, what we call cloud computing. Then the cloud computing is the outside of the organization. Your data and your information is stored outside your organization. Then we have to talk about the cloud computing and then how to secure your data on the cloud computing. When you talk about the cloud computing and the cloud computing security, then we have a risk for that cloud security. Then we have what we call cloud security risk. Then we need to discuss with each other what's meant by cloud security risk. And data protection in the cloud. Then when you have your data outside your organization and you talk about the secure cloud computing, then how to protect your data in the cloud. This is the most critical issue right now on the cloud computing. Then when you talk about cloud computing, you have what we call private cloud, community cloud, public cloud, hybrid cloud. All of these depend on the different size and different application used for each cloud. Then how to protect your data in the cloud. This is the most important part also for the database security if you have your data issued for the cloud right now. Thank you so much for today and see you next class. Thank you. Bye-bye.